Welcome to the Business Spotlight. I'm Brenda Hector from ActionCOACH, and today I've got Scott Davidson from RubyCom with me. Welcome, Scott. Thanks for being in the spotlight.
Good morning, Brenda. Nice to see you this morning.
Yeah, lovely to meet you again. So, tell us what you do at RubyCom then.
Okay, yes, certainly. A very open question. So the main service that we do, we provide part-time finance director services to small and medium-sized companies around Scotland. So often these businesses, they will have a need from time to time for some expert, experienced financial resource, but they don't need that resource all the time in their business. So we can come and engage with companies around Scotland to provide our services on a part-time basis. This could be as little as maybe a few hours a quarter, or it could be 10 days per month. And that can vary up and down, month to month, quarter to quarter, as the needs of the business change. So, and a lot of the things that we're doing with our clients, it's around financial modeling, projections, fundraising sometimes, financial reporting financial data to stakeholders and decision makers in businesses and things. So quite a mixed variety of things that we do. So
I guess helping people to understand the numbers and use the numbers to develop their business.
Well, yeah, I mean, the catchphrase I suppose I've got that we developed for RubyCom is about improving financial performance. And this is really what the mission is, I suppose, around the business. So how do you make more profit using less cash? Just to sum that up quite succinctly. So a lot of what we do, I mean, that's ultimately what we're striving to help companies and business owners do. How do you make more profit using less cash? So there's things that we'll look at with clients that we've got around what I'll call profit drivers, things that can help them make better margins or control costs better within their business. And there's maybe other things that we'll do, which is around sort of cash drivers. So how to get more cash or working capital generated within your business. So this could just be something as simple as maybe collecting cash faster from customers, making the sales cycle work more efficiently than it has been. It could be looking at stock or work in progress and how do we maybe help them hold the right type of stock or have the right amount of work in progress in their business at any one time. So that's kind of the main things that we do. And kind of the offshoot, so a couple of offshoots from that. We also provide a management accounts outsourced finance function service, for companies. We do finance training and coaching for people with a non-finance background to give them more confidence at using financial data. And we do a little bit of corporate finance work, just helping businesses raise money or, do financial modeling and things around their businesses and things. So yeah, quite a mix of things.
So what led you to this then? What led you to starting RubyCom?
Yeah, so I worked in my dim and distant past. I trained as a chartered accountant, and I worked in Edinburgh for many years doing audit and corporate finance work. And a lot of the clients I had when I worked in practice in Edinburgh were manufacturing and food processing clients. And so I, joined Wood Group in, I think it was 2006. I joined a division they had called Wood Group Pressure Control. It used to manufacture flow control equipment and surface wellhead products, which we sold around the world to independent oil and gas companies. And and I worked in the business in a few different roles, but in different parts of the world, and I ended up working in Houston. And the business ended up being a sizable business, very successful business, kind of in the end. And the business was sold. We sold the business to GE and General Electric in 2011, and I had to work for GE for a wee while after the sale of the business, and and I probably found the certainly found the bureaucracy, as I could call it, of working in a very large organisation. I find that quite difficult, if I'm honest with you. If there's anybody from GE remembers me who watches this video, they're probably laughing at that particular comment. And my wife and daughter and I, we came back to Aberdeen after my time period with GE was up, and I worked for 4 years with James Fisher PLC marine engineering business, and I was the finance director for their oil and gas businesses. And I did that for 4 years, and no disrespect to anybody within the James Fisher businesses, but I just got bored with the whole thing. I was probably doing the same type of work as what I was doing when I first went to work for Wood Group, and I wanted just to go and do something completely different. And so I resigned from James Fisher. I worked a long notice period, 6-month notice period, and I was doing some contract work for them after my notice period was up. And during that time, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. But during that time, I got introduced to 2 people that were looking to raise some money to start up businesses. They had a good idea for a business. They had some skills and expertise around the area, but they needed some cash to get it started and needed to pull this into some kind of coherent plan. And I helped them do that. And I really enjoyed doing it. Got a lot of fulfillment out of it. And through that, I got introduced to a couple of other people and a company in Murrayshire, an electronics business that was an early stage business looking for a part-time finance director. So somebody just to go into the business a few days a month and do some projections, help them with cash management, and production planning around the business. And it was really from that, I suppose, that I kind of clicked with me that, well, I quite enjoy doing this, and I enjoy meeting people and hearing, the entrepreneur stories and the business owner stories and things. And yeah, I'd quite like to do more of this and things. And so I got myself busy and wrote down some services maybe as to what my business could offer. And that's kind of how RubyCom came about. And, and I started hiring people to help me. And here we are 5 years later,
So it wasn't always in the plan to be a business owner then, but you found a gap in the market.
I think I'm suited to running a business. I'm certainly working for myself and running my own business. I mean, again, some of my colleagues that worked with me in Edinburgh at Wood Group or James Fisher, if they're watching this, they'll probably just laugh at what I'm going to say next. But I was probably never the greatest employee and things, and working within some kind of rigid structure. And, so I was probably always wired maybe to work more effectively working for myself. So yeah, I've certainly found my passion and things with that aspect of it, and probably also what we do in this type of services that we deliver to clients and things. So, well, it wasn't always maybe I didn't always have the plan in my head and things. Maybe fate and destiny has just kind of taken me that way, So
I think you'll know the same as me. We meet a lot of people that are running businesses, and I think there are two types of people. Ones that are made for running their own business, being their own boss, and ones that are made for working for someone else, I think. And once you get out and do it yourself, if you're that type of person, you probably not go back.
yeah, I mean, I meet a lot of people, all over Scotland who've different stages of evolution with their businesses. And yeah, I mean, I have great admiration for the passion that people show towards their business, towards their enterprise, and often the sacrifices that they're making to make the whole thing work. I mean, it's some of the people I've met and some of the things I've worked on over the past 5 years. I mean, I get a lot of personal satisfaction out of the fact that I suppose in some way we're able to help these people, with their passion and their dream around their business. But it's like the tip of the iceberg thing. I think the outside just sees this little wee bit at the top, the output. There's a whole lot of graft kind of going on underneath, and a lot of the business owners that I see around Scotland that nobody ever sees, and personal sacrifice, and you know, things that goes on. So yeah, it's been a fantastic thing to do. Yeah, fantastic thing to do.
So what have you learned about yourself in the last 5 years then?
I think, well, that's a great question. I think what have I learned about myself? Lots of things. I think I've learned that, I've learned that the world doesn't owe you a living. Okay. And, I see, if anyone that knows me well knows I've got probably don't hold politicians in general in very high regard and things, and I often think that, politicians and people in public life, you should have to have gone and maybe ran their own business for a while, because they'll soon realize that the world doesn't actually owe you a living. If you don't get out of bed in the morning and go and make things happen, and nothing will happen and things. So, so I've certainly learned that. And I've learned as well that you get fulfillment in life isn't always about making money. It's not about how much money you make. It's about, there's other things maybe that come along, that whole journey about fulfillment and things. So maybe that's part of it.
I'm just going to write that down.
It's the way you get there and what you do and things, and the personal gain and personal fulfillment you get out of what you're doing is probably as important, if not more important, than how much money you make. That's something. Have you got a passion for it? Are you excited about it? Do you spring out of bed in the morning and want to get to work? And I certainly do with what I do. And at RubyCom, I love doing what I do. So, I've certainly learned that. I've probably learned as well that I've certainly had to learn to sell, to sell services and run my own business and things. So it was something probably that I never really did, certainly didn't do full time before, any of the roles I've had. And I suppose I find my own style in a way of doing it. And it works for some people I meet, and other people I meet, it doesn't work for them. But I mean, on the whole, I've been able to attract clients into RubyCom. So, it's maybe something that, certainly got better at and things over time. And what else have I learned about myself? I've learned I've got a particular style, I suppose, and everyone's got their own style, and the way they go about doing things, the way they interact and things. And I've got my style, and it's probably sets me apart from other people and things. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not so good, my particular style. But I know more about what that is and things now. So,
And is that knowing your style and being authentic to you, that, yeah, maybe that puts some people off, but not everybody's a fit. That's something to learn in your sales, as a salesperson, isn't it? Yeah.
Not everyone's a fit, and I mean, not everyone's a fit, and I mean, I can be quite direct. I am direct. I can be quite cutting at times with some of the things that we say, but I mean, we can be decisive. But we're part-time finance directors. We're it's not always a popularity contest and things. No. It's what we're kind of the type of work we're doing. So, and yeah, absolutely. When I go and meet somebody for the first time, yeah, I mean, maybe we get around to talking about, maybe they've got some challenges and issues in their business and things. I mean, I'm thinking as well as probably they are as well. Do I want to work with this person? This is somebody I want to work with. This is somebody I can work with. And that's maybe something over and above, the actual business issue that they've maybe got. Can we help them sort their business issue? Often the answer to that's yes. But sometimes you just think, well, we're just never going to work well together. So it's just not a good idea for us, to start working. This, I think, happens occasionally. And so, that style that we've got, you can adapt your style a bit to fit different characters and things, but we don't want to end up being false. and sort of adapting it so much and things, we become people that we're not, you know. So I've learned about all that, and
I'm loving this. There's
quite quite exciting actually. Quite great things to go and do, you know.
I'm loving this reflection actually. So I'm talking to a finance director who provides finance directors and finance people for other businesses. And the notes of it, fulfillment isn't about making money. And a lot of it's about the people. It's not about the money. Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
But the money is important. I mean, it's you know, to have certainly a sustainable business.
Mhm.
Business has got to be profitable, you know, and you know, for the owner to have a fulfilled life, they want to be sleeping well at night, you know. So and often that comes back to making more profit using less cash is what that comes back to. But it's so we can help them with that, you know, more often than not. But yeah, the people bit's important, and the reasons why you do it, why you do something that you do, you know, that's become very much more important to me over the past maybe 5 years or so than possibly it was, you know, some of the things I did, some of the things I've done previously, you know, with my career. So yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's good.
So what have been the biggest challenges that you've faced then? Either for your business or for the businesses that you work with?
I think well, I think from my own business, I mean, one of the maybe two big challenges I can think about. One is attracting people into the business, right?
Okay,
Why
so
would
balance, yeah.
why would somebody want to come and work for RubyCom? Okay, now I can give them, I could probably talk for 2 hours on the good points of why you'd want to come and work for RubyCom, but um, why does somebody who's got a lot of talent and a lot of skills, experience, you know, they can pick where they want to work. Why would they want to come and work for RubyCom? And that's something I've had to work at, you know, definitely. And I've been very lucky. I've had some really good, I've got really good people working with me, you know, that have done and continue to do some great work, you know, for the clients that we've got. And I would say you know, they're certainly bought into the culture and mission, you know, of what it is we're trying to do. So, but that's been, you know, it's been tricky. We're not a sort of a household name business or anything. So we're not, you know, Barclays Bank or you know, KPMG or Wood Group or something, you know, where everybody immediately recognizes the name and thinks, oh, I'd like to go and work there. You know, it's RubyCom, who are they? You know, so that's maybe certainly been a challenge. And I think, you know, certainly initially, I mean, I had to work really hard to actually get clients. I still work hard at it. I think I do. But you know, I suppose the initial kind of 5 or 6 clients that were kind of getting into the business, they're often the hardest ones to get because no one has a clue. No one's heard of you before, you know, and why would I give you business? Why would I trust you, you know, in your business to come and do stuff for me, you know, and so I suppose as we get a bit of traction with it, and it goes for any business, you know, it becomes easier, you know, to you know, to expand it and grow it. But that's you know, I think I suspect we're past that. We're certainly past that now. That initial kind of difficult. We're past probably being a startup. So we're kind of becoming a mature business. So that's become a little bit easier and things. But that I had to pedal very hard at that for a while to get that going. You know,
And
so
does it that getting that traction that helps with getting the clients and the team members?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely it does. So that's I think in terms of my clients, I mean, one of the things that are two things, well, again, I'll just talk about two things that come to mind. One is, you know, getting access to finance, getting access to cash. And I still don't understand really why this is so difficult and things, but and I suppose this is partly why we've ended up with a business at RubyCom. But you know, if you're a business owner and you're doing 1, 2, or 3 million pounds of turnover, and you're trying to get some cash to come into your business, maybe to buy new machinery or to expand the company, or it could just be you've had some issues, and you've maybe lost some money over the past few months and you need a bit of additional working capital. Who you go to and how you go about raising that money can be quite complex and difficult to do. So again, it's something that that's something that we try and help these business owners with some of the services we do at RubyCom, and make that journey a bit easier for them. I think so that's certainly one challenge that certainly seen. And I think what else? I mean, there's a few other things, just common themes that you kind of see, going around Scotland with our different client base that we've got. Certainly, banks, I think we can all relate to this somehow. I don't want to come on here and bash the banks, because that's unfair. They do a lot of good work. But again, if you're running an SME company and you've got a relatively low level of turnover, actually getting somebody in the bank to come and speak to you is actually very difficult. And more often than not, you'll end up in a call centre, and it can be quite difficult to resolve, what are fairly basic issues and things. So, I mean, and this can be quite frustrating for a business owner. They haven't got time, to be spending hours and hours and days trying to resolve, fairly menial issues. And I see this being, it's not one bank, it's in particular, it's all the banks. And, so that's certainly been a bit of a common theme that we're seeing at the moment, and things around the client base that we've got. I mean, people's very difficult for companies to hire, to find. I mean, we work with a lot of businesses in quite remote parts of Scotland. So we've got clients in Shetland, Orkney, Caithness, around Inverness, Murrayshire, Aberdeenshire, over on the west coast of Scotland. They're not huge population centres, and so these companies in these parts of Scotland, they are disadvantaged because of the location of where they are. So they don't have, trying to get headcount and people to come and work in their businesses can be extremely challenging for them. Part of that's just the demographic. I mean, there's relatively full employment in Scotland at the moment. So, again, if you need headcount to come and expand your business, it's a challenge, definite challenge, for business owners. But anyway, I mean, these are all just common themes that we can.
They are very aware of the challenges that rural businesses are facing to find people, and then because they don't have the people, then the customer experience is not great, and then that has a knock-on effect to retaining customers as well. So
Absolutely, Brenda. I think it was quite last summer. I was over in Oban and I did a finance workshop to a fish farm company. Really interesting bit of work this to go and do. And so all the fish farm managers from all the different sites came to this hotel near Oban for the day, and we ran this kind of workshop for them. And I was asking them all, what issues and challenges do you have in your business unit that you're running? And they all said, finding people to come and work in the business. So, and you find out where the fish farms are. They're in quite remote parts of the country, but they were talking about the housing was what they kept speaking about. And the planning laws are very, very restrictive in Scotland. Very difficult to get planning permission to put any sort of new building up, and certainly in a rural location. And anything that is for sale tends to be extremely expensive. So somebody coming along and just working in a fish farm, not that there's anything wrong with that, but they're probably not going to be in the highest earning categories. And so for them to come along and buy a property locally near their work can be extremely challenging for them to do. And so again, it just makes it difficult, for the company and the business to attract people into the area to come and work in the business. And I do think that, that's a problem with society, not just for
We're
business.
back to talking politics there then, aren't we? And the
Well,
politics
I'm not getting into the party politics. We don't talk about party politics, Brenda, but
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 it's policies and
yeah,
the governance that needs to be making those changes.
absolutely it is, and some quite simple things. I imagine it's quite difficult to go and change these things, even if you are some highfalutin politician. I can't imagine that's an easy job at all. But I mean, these things, changing some of these things could have quite a dramatic effect on business performance in quite remote parts of Scotland, and companies that are working in let's say disadvantaged locations. And but if nothing changes, you'll get the same result.
Absolutely.
It's just anyway, that might be my next career, Brenda. Never know. So
I look forward to following that. So I wanted to ask you about, you said that you're direct and decisive, and as a finance director, sometimes that's required. So I wanted to ask you about the difficult decisions. Do you help your customers to make the difficult decisions, or and when we're talking about I don't know, cutting back or changing things, or I just wondered about your take on that sort of thing.
well, undoubtedly, I mean it's I often think that a business owner will be emotionally very attached to their business, very attached to their team, very attached to their customers. I am in my business. My own business, and so if I'm doing my job properly, or we're doing our job properly, and it can be a fine line, this, because we like all our customers, but all our clients, but it's much easier to be objective and make calls on quite difficult decisions if we're not emotionally. You put the emotion to one side. We're not emotionally attached to anything to do with the business. We're just having a cold, hard look at things. And so, I was working with a company recently on one of the islands. I won't name them on here, but and they were struggling, right? They're without if they keep doing the things they were doing, they were going to disappear. And we concluded, we did a review for them, and we concluded we needed to take cost out of the business, and this is the areas that we would suggest you take the cost out and things. And the owners and management have probably found this quite difficult to get their head around, because they're so emotionally attached to the business. And that, they know that what we're saying is the right thing to do. I've convinced myself of that, rightly or wrongly. But they find it quite difficult to go and actually do it because they're so emotionally attached to the thing. And so part of it's one skill, being able to work out what to do. And there's a second skill maybe there, and this is what certainly I've developed, I think I have, with myself over the past 5 years, is the people aspect of it, being able to work with people to, maybe they won't see exactly your point of view, but certainly get them to a point where they can get an answer which meets an objective, or solves a problem they've got in their business. So yes, that whole thing about the emotional attachment, if you're not emotionally attached to something, it's much easier to make sort of difficult calls on things. But once you become emotionally involved in something, more difficult to be objective. And often this is why business owners will engage us, because we're not emotionally attached in a business, and we can be objective about things. So.
Yeah, me too. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, same for you. Yeah, same for you, what you're doing. So, yeah.
And sometimes it's hard. We can see it, but it is very difficult for them to then make the changes that are required to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So what does the future hold for RubyCom and yourself then?
I get asked this question all the time, Brenda. And I ask my clients this all the time. What do you want to do with your business? And often I joke sometimes that it can take 3 to 6 months of speaking to somebody to really figure out what the answer to that is. And so I get asked this quite a lot about RubyCom, but there's no grand plan for RubyCom. I'd like to we've got a wee strategic plan that we're working on, working with. You know, there's going to be no radical change with it or anything. We're just going to keep gradually growing the client base and gradually growing the size of the team and the skill set within the team. You know, I've got a passion for what we do, and certainly I think my team does as well, you know, and I think with, you know, the evidence, I could, you know, there's demonstrable evidence that we've helped quite a few companies, you know, improve their financial performance over the past years we've been working with them. So I've still got a few years yet to work. You know, so I've no thoughts of stopping or doing anything else or anything like that. So yeah, I'm just going to keep doing what we're doing. I've probably got another 15, 20 years left in me, I think, to work, you know. So I'm just going to keep doing RubyCom. I would certainly like to some of the finance training and coaching that we've been doing. We almost do that as a bit of a sideline in the business. And we've got a suite of training courses that we've written that we can, and we roll them out occasionally, you know, to companies around Scotland, like the fish farm example I was talking about, you know, earlier in the conversation. You know, I love doing that kind of work. And, you know, that's something that I personally would like to do more of, probably in the coming years and things. So I've just got to find some time, you know, to go away and develop it over and above some of the other things that we're kind of doing. So, yeah, so it's good. It's all good, you know.
In the next few years, how many businesses can you make a difference to, and then the impact that has on the people within those businesses, you know, the business owners and the staff. I think you're doing a great thing that's having an impact on a lot of people. So,
well, yeah. I mean, we're probably taking on about one new client a month, okay, and that's roughly been about the rate to which we're taking on clients, and I don't really want to take them on any faster than that. Some of them do require quite a lot of work. I mean, some of them, and it's not just sort of the working out the finance stuff. I mean, some of it, you know, I can talk about I talked about the word emotion and getting emotionally involved earlier, but some of the businesses that we've worked with, they're in quite a sick state, you know, not all of them, but some of them are. And it can be, you know, it can be demanding on us as well as them, you know, to work through a plan to maybe improve things and stuff. But so, I mean, we're not doing too many of them at any one point in time. We've probably got one or two on the go that we're kind of working on quite hard at any one point in time. So yeah, so it's yeah, just different things like that. So yeah.
So I've got one last question for you then, Scott.
Okay.
If you could go back and talk to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell him?
Oh, what a great question. What would I tell him? I think there's probably things that oh, what a great question. I think make the most of your youth would be one thing. I would say, you know, you're only young once. And yeah, I mean, I could probably, when I was younger, I could probably have done more with sports and, you know, things I used to do and was involved with than what I actually ended up doing with myself. I mean, I'm having, you know, I think I've quite a good career, you know, for myself. The ICAS qualification was something I did, which opened up so many opportunities for me, you know, with work and travel and people I've met over the years. But yeah, probably when I was 18 and things, some of the sports and things I was playing, I should probably just have stuck at that a bit harder and, you know, enjoyed that a bit more maybe than what I did, you know, with it at the time. Because when you get to my age and things, it's I can't go and play, you know, football for 90 minutes or so anymore. You know, it's just, well, I could try, but I don't think it would work. I don't think I'd be very good. So yeah, so things like that. I mean, you know, people need to live the moment, need to make the most of what's available to them. You know, some people get better opportunities than others, you know, to do things with their life. There's no, I mean, I don't necessarily think that's fair, but it's the way it is. But, you know, when you're getting opportunities coming along, you just got to go for it, you know, take the opportunity. I've done that with RubyCom, and never regret one moment what I've done. So,
well, if that's your advice to 18-year-old Scott, I'm going to take that advice for anyone that's live the moment and take the opportunities.
absolutely, yeah.
Scott,
Absolutely.
it wasn't so bad being in the business spotlight, was it?
Well, no, I was saying to you earlier, Brenda, I think just before we started the recording, I was saying I don't often get nervous about things, and you know, I've done do a few things in public, and you know, speaking and other things, and I don't often get nervous, but I was probably no more nervous about this recording and this conversation than I have been about anything else for some time. So anyway, it's been lovely speaking to you, and you know,
Well, I hope I put you at ease. You didn't come across nervous, and you've shared some great nuggets with me. So thank you very much for your
yeah,
time.
no problem at all. Nice to see you. Take care.